You turn it up for you.
You're probably going to get your own thermostat over there.
We are live. We are live.
Call meeting to order. Let the record show all board. Remove conditions A, B, and C, and add 11E, approve superintendent's recommendations for personnel 25.
I move we approve the agenda as was submitted to us with the corrections that were just noted. Aye.
Okay, delegations. No non-agenda, no agenda items. Communications. Dr. Hutchins.
Well, the only thing I can say is I'm sick and tired of witching. I've had enough. I've done everything you can think of. Cookies, I've made food, I've almost finished crocheting a napkin. I've read 2 books, and I've had enough. Something to be over, but I'm glad that everyone has been safe and that for the most part, our area is given power and people haven't suffered that way, so just continue to stay safe and warm is all I can say.
Ms. Smith.
I visited Shady Elementary, and when I went through the door, the thing that caught my eye was their bulletin boards. They had 3 of the cutest bulletin boards I believe I've ever seen.
Ms. Hambrick.
I think I'm good, thank you.
Mr. Snuffer.
I agree with Dr. Hutchins there. I am sick of winter. But if you have to go out with a bar and a thing and break ice every day, twice a day, it really takes the fun out of stuff. And every time I come back and pick, he says, I told you to get rid of them daggone cows. But I don't complain anymore. I don't complain cows because I get here this, you decide to keep them. But it has been rough this last week, breaking ice every day. I did go to Liberty, watch them play on Friday night, and it was really nice. They had the dance team dancing, and they had a real special thing there. The Falcon Pride, which is a rec league that plays at Fairdale, has over 100 kids. They played at halftime. They brought 20 kids, 10 on each team, and they played some, like 5 minutes, they switched scores. But the little kids really had a good time and had a good crowd, and school looked good, and everything was good down there. So everything's good. The warm weather.
And if you get bored, Dr. Hutchins can show you how to crochet.
Hey, I did go to Woodrow's game the other week. It was really good. They did a quad out there. I didn't watch all 4, but I watched the girls and the guys. And plus, then I got to see Dr. Sarter's son play also.
Mm-hmm.
But we beat them, so there you go.
Yeah, we did. Uh-huh. Or we did, right?
We did.
Okay, I don't have anything. Dr. Starcher.
Mr. Ford, I don't believe I have anything to report. We were ready for the weather to go away as a school system. We're working on, I will say, we are still working on the Woodrow project. We had hoped to put it out to bid at the beginning of February. It is going to be a little bit longer, just getting through the various approval processes at the state level with the School Building Authority and the State Department of Education. But we are moving along on that. And then we did receive notification about submission deadline for major improvement projects or MIPs. So that's something our staff's going to start looking at, and is there a project that perhaps we could request? It's limited to $1 million, but we may have a roofing project or HVAC project, something of that nature that we could submit. But that's something we'll start working on, and I'll keep you updated on that.
Are we shut down right now at Park for the winter, or are they still supposed to be doing anything, or what's the story?
They are supposed to still be working. Some of the work is interior. I know Mr. Daniel or Mr. Dillon can give you more detail about that, but no, we aren't shut down.
Okay.
I believe May 14th is the date of substantial completion for both phase 1 and phase 2.
Okay.
So no, they shouldn't be shut down completely, but obviously weather like this, they would be able to work outside. I would expect, not shut down.
The yard is right to the right there, the yard they use for storing all their stuff they're doing the project. Is that our property or they get that off someone else?
My knowledge, it's Raleigh County Schools property.
So they have to clean all that up then? Okay. Because they got a bunch of stuff to clean up when they get done.
They have had several things to clean up. We've received notification of violation from DEP. Mr. Daniel has and multiple ones, not just one, but Mr. Daniel has worked closely with Radford and ZMM to be able to respond to the DEP violations. So there will be there's much cleanup that they have to do.
I was going to ask, why don't you recap for us the days we've missed and where we are and what we've done and so forth?
Yeah, that's good.
Okay.
It would be a good refresher for me and maybe everyone else.
Okay. So first of all, I know we talked about in the past that I had done a couple YouTube videos. I'm sorry. We also created a new link on our webpage. Yesterday and today aren't on there yet because Melinda's not here, but on there we're trying to keep that updated as well with the type of days that have been used. So we've used all 5 remote days. And then as of today, we could essentially say we've used all 5 days accrued, but we are depending on how the rest of the week goes, we may hold the accrued day that we could have used today and use it on Friday. The reason for that, eventually we're going to get to where we're trying to open back up, and on accrued days we can have staff come in and work to get us in a place where we could open back up. So just depending on how all that falls, today may be an accrued day, but today may be our first OSE day. We're just kind of up in the air. Obviously tomorrow we have to make up, or today we have to make up, one of the two. We're into that season, but we're trying to use that last accrued day on our last day of weather this week, so we can have staff come in and get us ready. When I say staff, custodians. Obviously we'll need custodians to come in and clear walks so that we're ready to go the next day. We just don't know what that next day is just yet.
Or next Monday.
Yes, now, if it's going to be next Monday, we would likely move that accrued day to Friday of this week, and then today, Wednesday, and Thursday would be OSE days. Does that make sense, what I'm saying? So we are definitely in a place where we're starting to make up days. I have had the question, because all school systems were closed yesterday and today, and the governor declared a state of emergency, did I think that we wouldn't have to make these days up? As of now, unless the governor or the state superintendent would tell us we don't have to make up the days, we have to make up the days. So unless we receive any type of notification, otherwise, we will be making up the days.
Well, I know some counties must have, everybody's went different, but I noticed a lot of them today and yesterday were reimagined days.
They could have been, we've used ours.
We've already used ours, I understand that.
Yes.
So, I'm saying, if you have a state of emergency, is a reimagined date, you just lose it?
Well, I don't know that
That'd be
either.
interesting to me, I just wondered
Yes.
about that.
I think that the state superintendent would have to answer that.
Because last time we had this, they gave some counties and some counties they didn't give it to, if I'm correct.
You mean with the flooding last
Yeah.
year? So with the flooding, if I remember correctly, you had to have used your days, your remote days, reimagined, as you
Right.
call them, your accrued days, your OSE days. You had to have exhausted those
First, yeah.
before you could qualify for the waiver. Plus, you also had to experience flooding.
Right.
Significant flooding. We didn't qualify. We had a remote day left, and we had OSE days left.
Yep.
So we didn't qualify for the waiver. Plus, we didn't have the substantial amount of flooding in our district as other systems like Wyoming did.
Right.
So we wouldn't have qualified for multiple reasons. And I just don't know what the governor or the state superintendent will tell us about the last couple of days.
They've never done that before. I mean, even when there's state of emergency, it's like,
No,
sorry, you're making them up.
I have never known them to wipe them away. But I'm being asked that, and if that's the case, then I'll make sure we get that out to our
Tell them they need
community.
to talk to people who could probably show that in this election year and let them talk to them.
There you go.
So that's where we are right now.
I do agree
That it seems if it affects the whole state, that they would in fact do something, but I don't remember it ever happening before.
I'm not sure, the law is what tells us 180. So I'm not certain how that just gets waived, but I don't, that's not my job. So we would welcome it if they wipe us clean. Yes. But that is the status of our weather days at this point. Any other questions for me? All right, thank you.
Thank you. Other reports, Ms. Lacy. Attendance report.
Good evening, President Ford, Superintendent Starcher, and board members. I'm here to present the fifth month attendance data. To begin, the fifth month attendance rate was 92.895. Our enrollment was at 9,444. We had one high school exit for the month. For homeschool, we had 16 new for a total of 836. Homebound, 2 new students for a total of 23 for the year. Alternative, 7 new for a total of 61. And for Hope Scholarship Notice of Intents, we received 13 new for a total of 901. Any questions?
I guess maybe you know that, or Superintendent may know. These children leaving for homeschool or for Hope Scholarship, a lot of those, I'm sure the homeschool kids, they're counted out here, the Hope Scholars, correct? Yeah,
Traditional homeschool and Hope Scholarship, IIP, are two different categories.
yeah, but what I'm saying is, you had 16 to go to homeschool. Would they be eligible then for are they the ones that apply for some of those for this?
No,
Those
two
13 are completely separate.
Two different categories, yes.
Okay.
No,
No.
traditional
they got apply-
homeschool,
Homeschool does not.
homeschool, no. That if they applied for Hope Scholarship and wanted to do their version of homeschool, which is called IIP, they would apply under Hope Scholarship.
Right, okay, those are separate
Correct.
kids or students, okay. I guess that's what I was questioning. So there's 13 that start here in the fifth. Are they eligible for the whole money? How they get their funding on that? They prorate that by the time they do?
Okay, sorry.
And do we have any statics anywhere that kids who took the Hope Scholars and then ended up coming back?
I do not, but Kathy and Mr. Dillon may.
We probably could get that to you, and I don't have the money to.
I understand. It's just, my mind thinks sometimes about this stuff like, they took it and it was so good and maybe it wasn't. They came back and I just worried about how many of those children there were. Well, thank you.
So between homeschool and Hope Scholarship, we have 1,700 students.
Correct. 37.
A lot.
How many does in some counties?
If you notice, last year we had, well, that was for the whole year. I took another number. So you don't know what we ended up, I was looking at homeschool. Last year we had 1,000 or 1,190. We're already at 826. So at the rate we're going, we'll probably get close to that maybe.
Correct. It always fluctuates up and down. We're always close to 1,000 by the end of traditional homeschool.
Right.
Anything else?
I think it's interesting there, I mean, that, some of the schools, I'll give them a shout out, is Independence and Liberty, they've had, or it goes for school exits, none and one.
Correct.
I mean, that's good. Somebody's doing something to keep kids in school there.
Yes.
So that's excellent. And those numbers are, they got less students than what Shady and Woodrow does, but still, yeah, doing a good job. Thank you.
Thank you. Ms. Lowry.
Board members, President Ford and Dr. Starcher. This evening, I just wanted to bring to your attention something that we're going to send home to our second grade parents. Most of them are sending them home with their grade cards towards the end of this week, or it will be early next week. And that is this second grade informational letter that you'll have in your packet there. House Bill 3035, the Third Grade Success Act, went into effect, it'll be 3 years ago, March 11th. And part of that bill provides that students who will be in the third grade next school year, the 26-27 school year, may be retained if they if they're below standards on the GSA. Now, there's several exceptions permitted there if it's a student with a disability, an L learner, a student who has already been retained, or who is receiving support through the student assistance team, or with other qualifying circumstances. Those are exemptions. Now, so this letter is required to go home this year to the second graders who this will apply to next year. And just to kind of give you a little bit, we went, Miss Blankenship and I and our science of reading team started looking into this, and we had about 40 kids in the 40s who did not meet that last year, and that we didn't go through to find out how many were special ed or how many had been retained. So we're pleased that it wasn't as many as we expected it could be. With the science of reading and everything that we've put into place, we're certainly hoping it'll be less than that. Also, having said that, we are still a huge proponent of, if you're retaining a child, it should be in kindergarten or first grade. We do not believe third grade is the place to do that. So we're encouraging, and our staff knows this, that is the place to do that. And so you can see there, if they had been retained before, they will not be again in third. So we just feel like, all the provisions of why this bill has that in there. But having said that, we're hoping that we're going to get most of our kids through. That you have a copy of that letter, just in case you get calls or someone asks, this will be going.
Well, that's the thing here. I think anybody that does anything about education knows that if you're going to make a difference in that child or really correct or come about with them, it's kindergarten, first grade. I mean, it's just a blip on the radar if you do it then.
Absolutely.
Kids, it's not a social thing to it. There's nothing else much to it. The kid has a chance to go back and repeat that. Lots of times it's children because they're too young to start. Parents insisted that, that there are different things like that, and to get those basics in. But by the time you're in a third grade, if I hold you back, that's a tough road to hoe to get much done. I mean, Dr. Hutchins has been around elementary a long time. You know that.
So I do want to share this. So we've had meetings, of course, with the State Department. If a child is below mastery on the GSA in third grade, they're going to offer that. We put them in summer program. We have to offer that. They don't have to take it. They're going to do the GSA again that July, which I don't know how that is all going to work. It's concerning, but they're going to offer that to them again. See if they can at least get partial mastery. So we're anxious to see, or we've had several meetings on that and waiting for a lot of clarification, but this is the requirement for this school year for second graders.
I have a question. It says may. Is that the operative word there? And exactly what, it's not shall.
Right,
So
it's
what
may.
is involved in the may? You don't know?
Correct.
Okay.
We're still waiting on.
I was afraid of that.
Yeah, and so a lot of kids will fall into that, those categories there. And with what
We have the exceptions you're talking about that's listed.
Correct,
So there are more mays other than those.
And that is what one of our questions
No,
is.
Michelle say no.
Well, they're saying we or should retain them, but
That's not what that says though.
no, but
says
that is
may.
what.
And you and I both know May and shall are two big different words there.
So who's gonna pay for the summer?
That's a question we've asked. Who's going to administer it? There's a lot of, it really necessarily can't be at a. I don't think people take into account the geography of our county. You know, we cannot have somebody at every school and bus these kids to different places. We have to transport them. How is that? So that's a lot of the questions we've asked. We've had a survey that we filled out. We asked all of those same questions that you just
It's
answered.
a lot of money. It's a lot of money.
I will say,
Well, I'm
sorry.
sorry. I was just going to say, I hate to say this, but this is what happens when you get people that know nothing about education in charge of education.
and I will say, unless something changes in the guidance from the department, we do have to develop a policy
Yes.
about this. Initially, we intended to work on our policy in December and bring it to you and have it approved, I want to say by the beginning of April. The department asked that counties pause on developing the policy. So we are paused right now. But as they provide Miss Lowry, superintendents, and others more information, we'll get back to where we develop our policy and come back to you with what that's going
And
on.
Ms. Blankenship and I have been looking through that and working on that. But I will say that our team has been very focused on catching these kids in K and 1 and even 2. But with the dyslexia screening and the iReady, that we're at least getting them through the SAT process. And if that is part, applies to those children, then that we have this clause in here that they can move on.
I think the thing that really gets me as an educator is that it gives me the impression that they feel like that educators aren't trying their darndest anyway and not doing everything possible when a child's in K1 and 2 to get them up to level. And to think that just by saying, oh, my third grade, we're just going to keep you back and that's going to help you and solve all your problems is just craziness to me.
Exactly, and I think we all recognize that when we're holding them back in third grade, you said it. We've done what we needed to. It's not the best option, and moving them forward and trying to give them those skills to whether they go to the CTE option or what. Correct.
Well, and it's not like we all don't know, and we all don't desire for those to have those skills they want them to have at the end of third grade. We love that. But we've been trying to do that for 4 years, okay, to get them there. And it's hard. And some children, it's just harder than others. And holding them back and giving them another year of the same medicine is probably not going to make a lot of difference there. It's like you said, it's earlier
It just
childhood.
makes me angry that some people are so callous as to what's involved in teaching
Right.
and how much teachers care. And about kids, I mean, they have no understanding.
Well,
And they don't care.
lots of times
Really.
I made a comment to somebody that instead of a test, probably the most qualified person to make that decision on retaining a child is the teacher.
Yes.
Is a teacher. They have they know which kids, if they retained them, could do that. Okay, they're kind of taking out the formula. On this thing. I mean, they're the ones that would be doing it. So
And I'm thinking that might fall into that main category because if you've had a kid who's been so successful on iReady and they're making A's in the classroom and they're proficient with reading and they just don't do well in the GSA, I mean, they should not be retained.
No.
yeah, I mean, like I said, they know this stuff and do it. And a lot of times when we do try to retain a child, and I've seen this, had parents call me over the years, when we try to retain a child who's in kindergarten, and the parents just throw a fit. And I tell them, you don't understand, that's probably the best thing that can happen to your child, is retain them under that. But, somebody, well, I don't want them to do it, whatever. But then you've got some of them want to retain so they can play sports. So I don't understand that one either. But the things that do it. But good luck.
So as Miss Lowry said, this letter should go out the next time we have school or a couple days.
Correct. Most schools are sending it with their grade card, which was supposed to be this week. Yeah.
We'll get this letter out. Maybe a couple weeks ago, I think I did a little video talking about this very issue. And that went out to parents, just letting them know, second grade parents, be on the watch for this letter. And, we'll come back and have more reports to you, especially when it's time to bring the policy.
Our policy currently says that you have to have you have to have a SAT meeting or a conference with that parent if you are considering retention before the semester ends. Well, according to this House bill, you may not have had that meeting. So that's where we're saying that our policy. Anything else?
Thank you. Okay, Miss Lewis
And Ms. Akerd.
and Miss Akerd. PBIS.
Only the most fashionable can wear hats.
And I'm not coming out in heels and sweater. You don't have your hips.
Breaking the ice, yeah.
Good evening, President Superintendent Dr. Starcher, board members. Ms. Lewis and I are excited to have this opportunity to share some information, some data about our PBIS program. I know that during the LSIC meetings that have taken place this year, many principals spoke up and said they were extremely proud of the progress that they had made that during the year in PBIS and their behavior. So we wanted to take the opportunity to kind of share where we are in this process and share the data, which we're very excited about, but also what next steps are going to be. So PBIS, positive behavioral interventions and supports, is what we're going to spend some time talking about. And we're right in the middle of year 2 of this program. So what is PBIS, just in case? PBIS is an evidence-based framework. It's a tiered system supporting students' behavioral, social, emotional, and academic development through proven strategies. It provides and develops a positive environment, creates predictable, equitable, and safe learning spaces where students can thrive. It's a focus on prevention, so it's proactive rather than reactive, emphasizes teaching positive behaviors proactively rather than reactive punishment. And then there's a measurable impact, which we're going to see through the data here in just a moment. It improves school climate, reduces office referrals, and enhances teacher well-being.
I think what we need to interject here is that we are finally looking at behavior in the classroom like we are looking at academics in the classroom. Students now always don't come to school with social standards and how to, get along in a controlled environment. So what this does is it teaches children, it remediates behavior, and it sets a framework for the whole school to follow the same discipline.
Exactly. So in year one, 24-25, that was the first full year of implementation. In the spring of 24, my predecessor, Mr. Sexton, and Ms. Lewis, they introduced PBIS to the county. And some of our principals meeting, they began to share more of the data, where we were standing at that point, and next steps, what potentially could take place to address what we were seeing countywide in the behavioral trends. In 24-25, which was last year, this was the first year of full implementation, and the goal last year was for every school to achieve bronze. That it was actually a much bigger and broader job and undertaking than was initially anticipated. So not all schools achieved bronze last year. So we've been working diligently and supporting schools, and I'll kind of share where we are in that process here in just a moment. We are right in the middle, like I said, of year 2. And so for this year, we are cleaning up tier 1 and moving into tier 2. And then our goal is by the end of next year for all schools in the county, elementary, middle, and high, to be not only bronze, but to have achieved silver moving into gold, which would be tier 3.
And this wasn't just because Raleigh County pulled this out of the air and said, oh, we want to do PBIS. Policy 4373 mandates that we have a tiered intervention for behaviors in our schools.
So as
charge that we were given last year, at which I was still sitting in my administration role as a principal. The charge that we were given to work through last year and to really perfect was for every school to decide what are the expectations of your school. What expectations would you expect to see in the hallway, in the bathrooms, in the classroom, and to develop a vocabulary. Teach the vocabulary and the expectations to the students so that it's, whether it's the students or the teachers or the cafeteria workers, custodians, so there is a like behavior plan throughout the school and everybody understands what the expectations are. And I know it's hard to see. This is an example of the matrix that Crescent made. And so for Crescent, they determined that some reasonable expectations for them would be safe, be responsible, be respectful. Those are very generic. But the goal is to decide what that would look like for your school. Teach the students what those goals are, what those expectations are. Teach the staff so everybody's implementing it. But it's not enough just to know that to be a chipmunk, that you have to be safe, be responsible, be respectful. The intent is to break it down. What does it mean to be safe on the playground? To be safe in the lunchroom, to be safe in the hallway, and likewise to be responsible in each of those areas, to be respectful of in each of those areas. And so the school was given the autonomy to decide in your building, what do you want that to look like? And then signage was made throughout the building that every student, every staff worker, everybody is taught of what this means for the school. And that way, if the student is in the cafeteria and they're not being responsible, rather than the cafeteria manager saying, are you being too loud, or those kind of things, they use the vocabulary, are you being responsible? Are you following lunchroom expectations? And everybody understands what that means. So it kind of empowers the entire building and gives a like vision. And it wasn't just Crescent, like I said, it's all the schools that were given that charge.
I think it is also important to know that when we reintroduce this to the principals this year, because the county goal again this year was to have everyone at bronze, that they each develop their own behavior leadership team. And in that team is where they develop their behavior plans for their schools, and they turn both of those behavior plans into Ms. Hodges and Ms. Blankenship for, approval. And so it wasn't just, again, principals saying, oh, this is what we're going to do. It was a team effort because staff buy-in is the most important piece in anything.
And that was kind of what we realized made it take longer than just the 1 year.
Yes.
Because there needed to be some mind shifts
that
took place. So where we stand right now as far as bronze goes, 24 of the 27 schools, that's elementary, middle, and high schools, have achieved bronze at this time. So that's 89% of our schools. We have 3 schools that have not achieved yet, but we've been out to those schools, and we can't let the cat out of the bag.
It's a secret.
We let principals know at the principal leadership meeting whether they have attained that or not. But like I said, 24 of the 27 at this moment have achieved bronze. And so we are very optimistic that all 27 out of 27 will in the very foreseeable future. So Ms. Lewis had discussed about the, policy 4373. So before we get into the data, we thought it would be important just to very quickly go over our levels. What 4373 kind of lays out for us in regard to what the different levels are. So our lower level, our level 1 infractions, those involve common behavioral issues like tardiness, skipping class, inappropriate language, minor rule violations. Level 2, those are your more disruptive behaviors like defiance, disrespect, insubordination, fights, profane language, technology misuse. When you get into the level 3s, those are your more significant concerns such as student battery, harassment and bullying, threats, sexual misconduct, and substance-related violations. And then level 4, those are your most serious infractions, including battery against employees, felonies, weapon possession, narcotic-related behaviors requiring immediate intervention.
And I think it's important to note here that we stress to principals, we're not going to have a behavior reteach for a level 3 or 4 necessarily. A 4, all but 1 comes straight to you guys. So I think when they understood that and teachers understood that
there was more buy-in as well to this because they thought everybody was just going to get candy and a ticket and all was going to be forgotten. And I think through further education, they learned that it's not. A level 3 and a level 4 has to be, you know, taken serious and attacked accordingly.
Okay, so now we get into the good part, the data. So on our chart here on our bar graph, you'll see the dark brown is 23-24. This was before PBIS became a thing in Raleigh County. This was the year that it was just introduced in the spring. Just we started talking about it a little bit, but there was zero implementation of PBIS in 23-24. Last year, that was year one. That's when the schools were developing their plans and implementing them. We were just kind of getting our feet wet. That's the middle brown color. And then the final one there, 25-26, this is where we are to this point to date. And without even displaying necessarily the numbers, just by looking at the chart, you can tell that it's been a significant decrease in these particular behaviors. Disruptive conduct, physical fight, insubordination, profane language, harassment, bullying, battery of a student. And these were just some that we pulled out in particular and stuck the data in and let it develop the bar graph based on that data.
I think here when you look at disruptive conduct, that's a level 1. That's a lot of classroom management issues and things like that. Teachers, we believe now, have the skills. They have the matrices, they have the rule, the school-wide rule. Students are expected to behave the same way across the board. And so that's where we see right there under disruptive conduct that PBIS is working and that we do have county buy-in now.
Your bullying and harassment there almost down to nothing.
And I do want to point out, of course, and I try to keep, because when we look at that, this is looks really great, but this is the bottom line is, you know, we're just halfway through the year. So of course we're going to see that it's going to stretch out there, but still, with it being halfway through the year, it looks
It's
very
very
promising.
And it,
Part of harassment and bullying is changing the culture in school.
Exactly.
Absolutely,
And so if you change the culture
absolutely.
in school, then they know it's not, I mean, it's, you know what I'm saying, it changes everything.
Absolutely, yes.
just as a bright highlight, and I don't know if you have this later on the presentation, but it's a good place to insert it here. Our middle schools cannot be more proud of what's going on in our middle schools academically, but also finally we're seeing like positive things in the middle schools, and teachers are working together. This first semester, only 13 students were referred to me for virtual alternative from our middle schools. That was all that we had. I mean, that is a tremendous celebration. Tremendous celebration, because that's where we're going to get them. Elementary schools always kind of have that school-wide behavior plan. If we can attack it at the middle schools, then for our high schools, it's only going to get better. So to only have 13 students on virtual alternative in middle school was a huge ordeal. I have these big 6-inch 3-ring binders, and I was able to take my middle school binder down to just like a and that's a huge
That's
celebration. Yeah, hopefully high school one day
Yes.
soon.
So if we look at the infraction trend over time, you'll see in 21-22, there were 6,600 DRFs put in WEVIS, and these DRFs spanned all levels, 1 through 4. 22-23, 5,800, 23-24, which was pre-PBIS, 5,400. Last year, with it being the first year of PBIS being implemented, kind of getting the momentum going, there was a decrease to about 4,100 DRFs that were input last year, and we're halfway through the year this year, and we're sitting at about 1,900. And again, those are all DRFs. So if we stay, even if we double that, it's still going to be less, you know, than it was last year.
Exactly.
But some of those I do know are more of those like cell phones. I think cell phones fed into that, which we expected with the new bill and the new
Although we are
policy.
happy to report on our
Yes.
school-wide visits, cell phones don't seem to be a problem.
Not
The
now.
students have understood it, and they
Yes.
follow it, and they know the consequences. So, which just goes to show, if you have the expectation and you reinforce the expectation, students will follow suit. Most students will follow suit.
They say they are.
We haven't.
And they
Yeah,
say they
when
have.
we do our behavior leadership team meetings,
Yeah.
and we have them fill out, I have them fill out a chart, and one of the ones of how many DRFs they wrote, and one of the things we wanted to track at the beginning was cell phone violations,
Yes.
and there were a ton at first, and now
Correct.
hardly any.
Yes.
So,
But those are feeding into this, but you're right.
Exactly.
It has waned for sure.
yes.
Okay, so this is where we really want, because we want to hit all, PBIS addresses all of the levels, but we really wanted to dig into the out-of-school suspension trends because of all of the disciplinary actions. This is the one that has the potential to, I'll say, maybe negatively impact the student the most, because if a child's not at school, then they can't learn. And so we really wanted to track the out-of-school suspension trends over time. So in our pre-PBIS era, 21 and 22, and then 22, 23, we're using 21, 22 kind of as our baseline year. And that year, there were 1,619 out-of-school incidents during that year. Weavis wouldn't let me go back and pull the number of days that equated to, because it was pre-Weavis 2.0. However, in 22, 23, there was actually a spike. So 1,619 OSS incidents in 21, 22. In 22, 23, there were 1,757 incidents put in Weavis that resulted in an out-of-school suspension. Those 1,757 incidents equated to 5,967 days that students were not in school in Raleigh County because they were out of school suspended. The next year, this was the year that PBS was not in place, but it was introduced in the spring. And this was part of the reason I know that Mr. Sexton and Miss Lewis really started to look at this and have discussions about what do we need to do as a county to address this. So in 23, 24, there was a slight decrease from the year prior, but there were still 1,648 instances that resulted in an out-of-school suspension. And those 1,648 suspensions resulted in Raleigh County students being out of school 5,342 days. So last year, this is when we really start to get excited, because last year, which was our first year of implementation of PBIS, there was a dramatic drop last year in out-of-school suspensions. There were 1,110 instances put in Weavis that resulted in out-of-school suspension, and those 1,110 suspensions resulted in 4,596 days for Raleigh County students to be out of school. That's a 33% reduction of out of school as a disciplinary action, but 14% reduction of days that Raleigh County students were out of school as a result. This year, and again, I want to say again, this was just as of December 31st, so halfway through the year. As far as this year, there have been 410 out-of-school incidents recorded as of December 31st, resulting in 1,353 days out of school. That is a tremendous difference from last year. Now, again, I recognize, like I said, we're only halfway through. Even if that doubles, hopefully it will not, but even if it doubles, that's a significant decrease from the year before. And so that's what we want to continue to see. So when we were working on this, we were very, very excited about it because we knew this, and you've heard all the principals talking about it, but to really break it down and look at it like this, we are so excited and so encouraged, because it goes to exactly what you said. The culture and the climate and the approach in the schools has changed.
It has. And I think it's very important to note that at every principals meeting, we have set aside an hour of time for principals to work on their behavior data. Ms. Akert has a thing that she has to do for special ed compliance, but they also break it down by the amount of DRFs they have, the subgroups they have, and we have never said to principals, stop writing DRFs.
No.
As a matter of fact, we stand before them every month and say, we are not telling you to not write DRFs to make this look fluffy.
No.
We do not want that. We want it to be real, and we do believe that this is real.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And so this is what it looks like on a bar chart, because what's better than a bar chart? So when you look at it this way, it's exactly the same data that I just shared, but it's a visual representation, and it makes me ooh and ah. So
Yes.
because that looks really, really amazing.
We should have put that in pink.
Oh, we should have. We should have. Okay, so the PBIS impact on discipline, obviously reduced exclusionary practices. There's been a significant decrease in out-of-school suspensions since PBIS implementation began. There are fewer high-risk behaviors, so notable declines in physical fights, weapon possession, substance-related incidents. Positive interventions increased the use of Tier 1 universal supports and proactive teaching strategies. We're seeing that, and it's not just about toys and trinkets. It's just not about that. It's about shared expectations, shared accountability, and we do celebrate the students, but we also hold them accountable when they don't meet those expectations. And we don't just bring down a consequence. We take that opportunity to reframe the behavior and give them an opportunity to learn from it. That's the whole purpose of discipline. Discipline is not punishment. Discipline is addressing the behavior, but teaching them, using it as a teachable moment and helping them learn where to go from here. What are next steps? How do I, what should I have done instead? And if they do it again, we follow that same process.
I think it's really interesting to note in our school visits, which I love because I never get to get out and be around kids. It is really nice. I say to Tammy, I was a principal 20 years. She was a principal quite a few years. I know the dog and pony show. We're not going to go to the dog and pony kids, the pretty kids, I call them, that will answer all the questions correctly all the time. We search out the kids with the hoodie on, the kids that are very quiet and shy. And in all instances, we had students that were able to tell us what PBIS is. And they didn't say it was toys and trinkets all the time. They were excited about lunch with the principal, or in one school, Trap Hill, they're doing an amazing thing. They have teachers that have volunteered to take on a student assistant. So once a student earns so many PBIS points, then they get to go with that student or with that teacher and get to be their classroom assistant. Middle schoolers are excited
They were
about
so
that.
excited about
Beckley Stratton Middle School. This gang of kids came up to us. It was during class change. And Miss Akert had one of the students at Daniels. And so we said, okay, tell us about this PBIS. Tell us what it is. And they were like, it is really cool. Yeah. We keep our points on the computer, and they're teaching us life skills because we're learning if we save our points, then we can buy things, and that we shouldn't waste our points on little things, so that when we're older and we have jobs and we have a debit card, we'll know how to balance it. I mean, don't we want middle schoolers to start thinking that way?
That's exactly what he said.
To have kids think about that the way, and it transfers to curricular, is pretty exciting.
Absolutely. And then this year, like we said, we are expanding to Tier 2. We're going to start rolling that out more and more, and that's going to be our focus. We're at the point where we're ready to move ahead to that. So here's just some examples. There were so many, some examples of PBIS in action. These images showcase the daily implementation of PBIS across Raleigh County schools, from team collaboration, student recognition, to visual reminders of behavioral expectation. Our commitment to positive reinforcement creates an environment where students feel valued and supported. Are they always going to make the right choice? Absolutely not. Just as adults, we don't either, but we're building safe spaces where they can make that mistake, learn from it, and do better as they move forward. So as we said, we're moving to tier 2 now. Tier 1, the way PBIS is structured, Tier 1, it captures most students, usually 85 to 90 students. They fit in that Tier 1. They follow the rules. If they make a mistake, they learn from it, those kind of things. The majority of students fit there, but we recognize not all students do. So we're moving to Tier 2. Tier 2 are the students that need some additional support in the form of small groups, check-in, check-outs, social skills, trainings, lunch bunch, those kind of things. And usually that is about the next 10 to 15% of students. And that's where we're going to focus our next, year or so on that before we move to Tier 3 for our really higher needs students. But it's our goal to as we progress through this, every year we're going to continue to work with schools because we don't want schools to work through bronze and then focus on silver so much that they let the bronze go. So it has to be an ongoing maintaining process. Yes, ma'am.
Miss Akert, I think it's important for the board to know that several of our principals have said, what's next? You know,
Yes.
we're ready to go to tier 2. We need you to take us to tier 2. So we did just a short overview, if you will, at our last meeting, but in February, we told them we will start down the tier 2 path. And you may remember me mentioning the Hannigans that came and helped us this past summer. Ms. Hannigan will be coming back in July. We're going to start tier 2, but then she's really going to push us along on tier 2 in July. So I just think it's very positive. As Ms. Akert said, you've heard from so many of our principals pleased with the progress, but I think it's important to know they're asking to move on.
Yes.
Sometimes things can be looked at, oh, that's just another thing we have to do, but our principals are really, I think they're excited and they're ready to go. So
It does. It absolutely does. And at the end of the day, they're the ones who have done this. Like the plan was developed, pushed out, but if the principals and the schools and the teachers, if they didn't buy in and they didn't do this, then it would not be successful. But they have really embraced it, and I cannot brag on all of our administrators any more than, I mean, they've done an amazing work with this. So driving positive change, just real quick reminder or summary. PBIS implementation has led to dramatic declines in suspensions and serious infractions, with OSS dropping from 1,757 OSS incidents in 22-23 to 410 as of halfway through this year. Bronze recognition for 24 of the 27 at this particular moment demonstrates widespread commitment, fidelity of implementation, positive outcomes across Raleigh County. Focus on Tier 2 targeted interventions will build on our strong Tier 1 foundation to support more students effectively with research-based strategies. And then Raleigh County schools are creating safer, more supportive, and more equitable learning environments where every student can thrive academically, behaviorally, and socially. And then this little cutie, this was at one of the schools. She got that at Shady Elementary. She got that little shirt. So that's all we have. Do you guys have questions for us?
Any questions?
Me too. Me too.
Did a great job. Thank you.
I know it's bronze, we go to silver, you
Yes.
add what?
It is the tier 2 support.
Tier 2, what you
So
said.
the
So
student,
gold would be the very top.
Right.
Correct.
That's all
Right.
I'm
Right.
The tiers and the color or the bronze, they would
Right.
go with the tiers, okay, that's all.
Yeah.
Exactly, yes. Yep.
Thank you.
thank you.
Mr. Butcher.
Talk about bronze.
Talk about a bronze.
I may need a tier 3 intervention. Board members, Mr. Ford, Dr. Starcher, this evening I'm here to present the annual excess levy update. This update's given to you annually as we go through each year of our excess levy. Our current excess levy started in FY25 and will expire in FY29. I think, first of all, I think it's important to recognize how important the support of our taxpayers are to the success of our school system and what our excess levy provides. We have one of the longest running excess levies in the state, and it allows us to do a lot of things in our district that other districts don't have the funds or the means to do. So it has really helped our district tremendously over the years. Some of the things, so our excess levy call currently sits at $22.8 million a year. Some of the things that the excess levy supports, that a lot of people may not know, it supports free textbooks, instructional support for supplies and equipment, physical education and student wellness, curricular program incentives for reading, science, social studies, technology, engineering, arts, and math. Technology integration, maintenance upgrades, hardware, software, and training, library supplies, music supplies and equipment at the elementary school, band, choir, music for supplies and equipment at our secondary schools, student supports for truancy diversion and dropout prevention, universal pre-K, performing arts enrichment, academic competition and fairs, student athletic programs, supports for our coaching staff, student activities, curricular and extracurricular trip support, student healthcare needs, student security for safe schools, that's for school resource officers, training, and other security needs in our schools, extended learning opportunities, that's for after school, summer school, community supports for the WVU Extension Services, the Youth Museum, and the Raleigh County Convention Center. Transportation, it allows us to also provide one extra school bus a year above what we get through state aid. Maintenance, it supports our maintenance department. Capital improvements, that's major improvements, upgrades, and compliance. PEI premium reduction benefits. And there's a lot of salary supports, of course, in our levy, and the fixed costs on those, salary supports for professional service employees, also staffing support for professional service employees over the state funding limits, substitute personnel, group insurance for dental, optical, and life, and our personal leave incentive to promote continuity of education. On page 1, for FY25, of course, we began with a zero treasurer's balance because it is the first year of the levy. We collected $28.9 million in taxes. We had, if you look at the bottom of the page here, in each of those areas I just discussed, we had $24.1 million of expenditures. We have another $319,000 of encumbrances. And designated funds, those are funding, that's funding within those line items that exceeds the expenditures for the year. So that money is set aside, it's designated, $2,013,000. And then if you add that to the encumbrances, you can see the designated balance of $2,333,000. And then $2.4 million of designated fund balance, that is for permanent improvement and capital projects. So at the end of the year, we had an undesignated balance of zero. And if you look at the salary and fixed cost supports down towards the bottom of the page, the levy provides for $15,684,000 of salary supports, and that's for professional service employees, the fixed costs on those, staffing support for those employees over the state funding limits, substitute personnel, group insurance for dental, optical, and life, and the personal leave incentive. So the levy provides $15,683,000 for that, and the actual cost of that was over $19 million. So expenditures over the call for the staffing supports was $3.3 million. For FY25. On pages 2 through 4, excuse me, it details those staffing supports. And over on page 4, after considering state aid, the net levy support for FY25 for professional and service salaries was $9,375,000. And then if you look at substitute professional and substitute service, $5,808,000. And then the fixed costs and fringe benefits for group insurance, for dental, optical, and life, that's $978,000. And for the fixed costs on the salary supports was over $2 million. So when you add that to the premium reduction benefit for PEIA, $843,000. That makes up that $19,000 of total salary supports for the year. Okay. As I said, we're 3 million over on those supports. And if you look over on page 5, collections for the year was 28.9 million. And when you remove the annual call amount of 22.9 million, you get a collections over call of 6 million. 3 million of that, of course, went to the salary supports. And so that leaves 2,422,000. Those funds were transferred to permanent improvement and capital projects fund. And that funding was used for Independence High School's track getting redone. That's 973,000. The tennis court rehabilitation, 92,525. So about $1,066,000 goes to Independence. Shady Spring High School tennis court resurfacing is 113,000. Daniels Elementary for the pre-K playground, 325,000. Woodrow Wilson High School, we had an SBA match that was remained of 157,000. Park Middle School's gym, another $500,000 for phase 2 of that project. And then the remainder went to the ACT HVAC project at $261,000. Over on the last page, that is just a footnote, a snapshot of the footnote of the financial statement. It shows the, on a current year and levy to date, the estimated levy call, and then comparing that against the actual revenue and expenditures to give you the variance. And if you notice at the bottom, that excess you see, 2,333,000, that is the designated funds that's left in the levy accounts at the end of the year. Okay. That's a lot of numbers jargon, but
Did you get your 10%?
no, I don't.
It goes to the president of the board. Yeah, like we split that.
I'm in tier 3. I don't get anything.
Yeah, they buy a bus for him. Short one.
Any questions?
The only thing, and it's not on this so much, but a lot of activity right now, it affects this. If you haven't got it, most people did, got a new assessment on a property. And for everybody's news, I don't know anybody's went down. And so I've seen some riffraff that trying to blame it on different people, but we have nothing to do with assessments of the assessor.
No,
Assessor's doing her job by the law. She has to go and do that. But there is a significant increase.
We have absolutely no input into
No.
assessed valuations in the county.
My assessment went up 26%, which I thought was a little high, so.
Yeah.
But evidently it's statewide.
It
that
is.
They're trying to catch up with whatever they were supposed to catch up on.
And I don't know if it's a percentage of the tax base by year, because I know these notices have went out in recent years as well. So I don't know how they affect who
Supposed
gets
to be within a
what.
certain market range, the state law, I don't remember the whole thing on the appraisal thing, but there's certain things the appraisers, because some appraisers in some count, or some appraisers, some assessors in some counties just weren't doing a very good job. Didn't do it. And so they only have to do it and stuff. Now, what that rate, adjust to, we'll see, but that's.
Yeah, I've seen where we get a lot of the blame for those, but we have absolutely no input at all into the assessed valuations of the
Everybody knows
county.
that.
Yeah.
Okay, thank you.
I'd just like to say again, I'm very thankful to Raleigh County and the voters in Raleigh County for approving our levy.
Yes.
Because when you read the paper and hear the news and you see what's going on in some counties, we are blessed beyond measure.
Absolutely.
So thank you
Yeah.
very much to Raleigh County.
Yeah.
And Darren does a decent job.
Even though I'm in tier 3.
You know, he could be lying to you and you wouldn't know it.
Well, evidently that's what happened in some counties, right?
Yeah, but you hit it on the nail. I mean, we would not be able to do nearly the stuff we're able to do for the children of Raleigh County if it wasn't for the support of the taxpayers of Raleigh County
Absolutely.
and our levy. We're blessed with that.
Yeah. Thank you.
Thank you.
Amen. We have no unfinished business, no policies and procedures, consent items, A, B, and C. Can we vote on those together? Any objection to that?
We approve the consent items that were submitted to us.
All those in favor say aye. Motion carries. New business. Consider approval of the exception request for 4-year attendance. Ms. Hodges?
Good evening, President Ford, Superintendent Dr. Starcher, fellow board members. I have just one final request to bring to you this evening for approval, and that is a work exception from Independence High School. One student. It was a form I had sent back with the original submissions that I brought to you a couple weeks ago. Needed some corrections, and it was corrected, and just the one. So now we are at a grand total for this semester of 152.
Okay, any questions?
Thank you.
You have a motion? All those in favor say aye. Motion carries. Consider the approval of the ATC Corps for track replacement. Mr. Dillon.
President Ford, Superintendent Starcher, board members. Before you tonight is consideration upon a couple of projects at one at Independence High, one at Shady High. Mr. Butcher briefly touched upon it in his presentation. We had budgeted for a certain amount that we thought could cover both. When we received the pricing back, it was higher than our previous jobs in Liberty and Woodrow due to more grass at Independence High School. So that means grass removal coming out from inside the stadium. We've become grassless at Liberty High and Woodrow Wilson with track and just paving. And this bid, unlike Liberty, included paving and whatnot on the inside around the concession stand area inside and once you enter the gate, Independence High School. So what's before you tonight is consideration for at Independence High School to redo the track with a couple of add-ons with alternate 1, alternate 2. I can speak specifically about that if you want. And the tennis courts at Independence High School, and then the tennis courts at Shady High. Actually, the tennis courts at Shady High were in the worst conditions countywide. When ATC came in to assess those, they had found that there was little holes, like boring holes, in the court that they attributed to power washing over the years. So actually, Shady's tennis courts were worse off than the other four high schools. So before you tonight to do the tennis courts and track at Independence High School and the tennis courts at Shady, with the expectation to do the track next year at Shady High.
Have you idea what the average life of a tennis court?
The average life of a tennis court, I've been in the county now for 20 plus years. As an employee, we have not done anything to the tennis courts other than there's been a couple times we've tried to resurface them. This is the first time to my knowledge that Mr. Daniel or Mr. Wisenhunt can correct me if I'm wrong, that we've actually had a tennis company come in to assess our tennis courts. So I would hope that these new tennis courts would long last anyone in this room based upon the previous tennis courts. So it's like anything else.
When you said that, you think the health's not real good?
Mr. Daniel and I have traveled around with ATC. That's the company that's before you tonight. They're very professional and do a good job. The way they explain it to us, based upon it's sort of like your hardwood floors. The thickness of your court over time, it just diminishes. And based upon your court surface and tennis courts, they're just refurbishing what we have, if that makes sense. We fixed the cracks and resealed everything on the tennis courts. The track is a completely redo of the track.
Oh, so somebody explained to Shady how to take care of us so they don't power wash them.
Right. Well, our county, you wouldn't think it, but around Shady High School, they have a lot of trees. So with trees just comes black funk, if you will, onto the surface, and we'll take the blame for power washing that. We as a county, we thought we were helping. We got rid of the black, but we created some holes, if you will. Yes, sir.
If you go in and look, I don't know if you've seen them when they do the tracks. I mean, they grind it all the way down, take the asphalt down, come back in. It's like a paving job like you see on State Road. They build a base, they put in the pavement and everything in there. They start putting the layers on. And it's funny. They have these little pellets and the glue and one layer. I don't know how many layers they totally end up with.
It's multiple rubber layers.
It's
You're
quite
correct.
a few layers of rubber they come in. But they build that back up. It's quite a job. And when the ones they did at Woodrow and Liberty, they look great. They look
So
really
what
good.
if the thing could be accomplished by turning the pressure down on the pressure washer?
What's that? I didn't hear him. I'm sorry.
For cleaning them, what if they could turn the pressure down?
We can. I think we can rely on ATC's expertise too. We now have found a tennis company or a track company, a surface company that I think could give us good guidance countywide on how to take care of them. Yep.
Good deal. So,
And Independence track job does include the fencing and whatnot. That's the alternate too.
right. Okay.
So your recommendation is,
Our recommendation to the board for your consideration is that we move forward with the track and the tennis job at Independence High School and the tennis job at Shady High.
okay, heard the recommendation, we have a motion?
I move that we accept the recommendation of the assistant superintendent and on this project.
Second.
All those in favor say aye. Aye, motion carries.
Mr. Dillon, while you're here, and I know it's not on the agenda, but I think we can throw it in right here. We had talked earlier about the fading of the colors on the football fields.
Yes.
Are we addressing that in any way or form?
So Mr. Mike can speak specifically to that. So the Moats group is the group that provided the fields for us. They came back in August and assessed all of our fields. And during that time, they were professionally cleaned, if you will. They have machines that go over them and pull up all sorts of stuff that is more intense than what we normally could do. And also in the springtime, you correct me if I'm wrong, Mike, they're supposed to come back to address the color situation.
Yeah, that's unfortunate.
I thought it should be a warranty issue, so that's why I want to make sure we're doing something on that. Because, I mean, the one at Liberty is significantly faded.
Yeah, so at Liberty, it's getting close to more orange.
Yeah.
Which would be the Summers County
Yeah,
Bobcats.
we don't like that, yeah. And also Tennessee, we hate them both, so just.
Yeah, understand. So I think as a whole, the Moats group did a good job for us. But I would agree that we're experiencing some fading that we're addressing. And as Mike said, the best thing, or Mr. Wizahunt, said, it's under warranty.
That's good. Because, I mean, they have a lifetime, but I'm sure there's something we need to do, maintain it during that time to make that lifetime maybe more than what they even say it is.
Usually their life is anywhere from 8 to 10 years, really more like 8 years. They said if we take good care of it, we could extend it to 10 to 12 is usually your life of a turf playing surface.
Yeah.
So I think we started this project in Raleigh County in 2020.
Thank you. I know it's a thing, but I just wanted.
Yes, sir. Good question.
Same, okay, thank you.
Thank you. Approve superintendent's recommendations for personnel 25, 26.
Before we do that, Mr. Ford, I request an executive session. Personnel.
We're gonna have,
Personnel, we have a addendum, we have a thing, we have.
It's on the first.
It's on approval of.
A.
Which one, we didn't know which.
She said letter A.
Letter A, okay, that's fine, no problem. We'll make sure it's one, okay.
okay, we need to take
Okay, then.
all those in favor say aye. Motion carries.
See you all tomorrow. We're on a 2-hour delay here at the office, so see you tomorrow.
This is still a new question. I'm sitting here, hold on, smelling this peanut butter fudge. No, I don't want more of it. I do want more of it, but I don't. Here, Larry, have a piece.
I will take it home.
Take
You ain't taking it all
Hey,
home.
eat a
You
piece
can
of it,
have
Larry.
one.
No.
That's right.
I tried to.
Amber could have a piece of it. You want a piece of peanut butter fudge?
One piece fudge?
Hey, let the record show we're back out of executive session at 7:21. 7:21. Okay, on our agenda, approve superintendent's recommendations for 25-26.
Right, board members, you have a set of corrected recos in your folder. They're white and say corrected recos. If you look at page 3, under aides, letter A, Andrea Fields, you will see the name of the elementary school was left off, and that should be from Beckley to Stanford. You'll see that. Under letter B, we need to remove Sharon Daniels. She has rescinded acceptance of the position. On page 4, under maintenance, we need to remove Andrew Swain. He did not complete his functional capacity testing. And that is also with those changes. My recommendation is as presented.
Okay, I've heard the recommendation. Do I have a motion?
I move we approve the superintendent's recommendation with the corrections that were noted.
Second.
We have a second. All those in favor say aye. Aye. B, schedule special meeting to conduct hearings on proposed personnel terminations, transfers for Wednesday, February 25th, Thursday, February 26th, and Friday, February 27th.
Second.
All those in favor say aye. Aye. Motion carries. Approve administrative leave for substitute teacher and a coach.
Ashley Gabbert.
I move we approve the superintendent's recommendation for administrative leave for Ashley Gabbert.
Gabbert.
A second.
A second.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Motion carries. Approve administrative leave for a teacher.
Caitlin Jeffries.
I move we approve the superintendent's recommendation for administrative leave for Caitlin Jeffries.
Okay. Motion moved and seconded. All those in favor say aye. Aye. Motion carries. Okay, E, approve superintendent's additional recommendations for personnel 25-26.
My recommendation is as presented.
I move we approve superintendent's recommendations for personnel and addendum as was submitted to us.
All those in favor say aye. Aye. Motion carries. That's all we have on our agenda. This meeting is adjourned.